When a woman says the words to you, what's wrong? You messed up. You're being a little bitch. I was having this conversation with a good friend of mine a couple weeks ago when he was struggling a little bit with his woman. She was really being a little disrespectful, I would say, but more reacting to his instability, right? To him not standing firm in his masculinity and him being fazed by her, right? And when he was telling me about this, I gave him the best kind of love a man can give another man, which is to say, stop being a little bitch, right? It's so funny because my wife, I was telling her about this conversation. She's like, wow, that's so harsh. Why would you say that to him? Like, I would never say that to my girlfriend. I'm like, you don't understand. Guy to guy, if I tell you stop being a little bitch, that's like saying, I love you, man. In fact, that's implied. In fact, sometimes you say, I love you, man. Stop being a little bitch, right? But it's implied. It's like the greatest form of respect and love when you can tell another man that's close to you to stop being a little bitch. Because that's like, yeah, this dude cares about me. Like, he's going to tell me the shit that other people aren't going to tell me because he like, it's worth it to him. You know what I mean? I mean that much to him. So anyway, here's the thing. As a man, the hallmark of being masculine in a relationship, by the way, there's a great book about that. G.S. Youngblood, he wrote the book called Masculine Relationship. Highly recommend you read that. Definitely read The Way of Superior Man, David Deida. That's probably the first read, and then you read this one. But anyway, to be in your masculinity means to be unfazed, unshaken, right? We've talked about being unfazed before. Very, very important concept. You're going to hear this a lot from me as I realize how just important this is for masculinity. But the whole thing is, if a woman says to you, what's wrong? It means that she's faced you. It means something's affecting you. It means that in some way, right, you're being a little bitch because you're pouting. You're demonstrating that you're affected by her enough that she noticed it. If she noticed it, you done fucked up. You fucked up bad. All right. Again, I say this in love, man, because I've been there. There's many times where Nicole has told me what's wrong. And for a lot of times when she would say that, I would feel insulted by it for some reason. I mean, that phrasing is also not the best. If you don't, you probably shouldn't even tell your woman, say what's wrong. You should probably say, it seems like something's bothering you. Do you want to talk about it? Or anything like that, but don't say what's wrong. But regardless, I would feel a little bit like insulted, like, why are you asking me? Like, don't you know what's wrong? And then that's even worse, right? Because now you're really butthurt at that point, right? There's a point where we're gonna make a t-shirt, maybe we'll still do it, that says, if you're butthurt, you're wrong. Leave a comment down below if you'd buy that t-shirt that said, you're butthurt, you're wrong. But anyway, the point is this, okay? If she's noticing that something is wrong with you, you have made it noticeable. And that means that you are not the rock. It means that you are not unshakable. It means that you are phased, right? You're not unfazed. We want to be unfazed as men. Again, it doesn't mean not having emotions. It doesn't mean not having empathy or receiving empathy. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means that you're going to be unfazed. You're going to stand there and whatever she dishes, whatever she does, you address it. You don't pout. You don't make a sad face. You don't give silent treatment. You don't stonewall. You don't, get upset about it. You just handle it. So I'll give you an instance. The other day, my wife, she said to me, and it wasn't any big thing, but I had spilled something on the table during Christmas. I knocked it over and it was like some oil thing. Anyway, she was cleaning up the Christmas stuff right after Christmas. And she sends me a picture of the table and she says, yeah, that stuff, I tried to get it off of the table, but it looks like you might have you ruined the table, right? And I don't think she meant anything by that at all, right? But that's like, I messaged her back, right? And I didn't act upset or anything. I just said, if I would have said the same thing to you, I think you'd probably be upset by that, right? Something to that effect. And then immediately she came to talk to me. She was like, what do you mean by that? Like, what? I was like, you phrased it as, if I said to you, you ruined something, would you have a certain way that you would feel about that? And she was like, oh, I'm sorry. And that's it. Like, I'm not upset in that moment, right? It's not a big deal because what am I going to do? I'm just going to gently correct. I don't have to be phased, right? Now, I could have reacted in the way that I have reacted in the past and been like, like taking that personally. And then when I see her, when I go downstairs, I'm not really saying much. And then she's like, hey, what's wrong? Is something bothering you? And then boom, I'm a bitch, right? I don't want to be a bitch. So I'm not going to be a bitch, right? So you really just have to understand this, internalize this as a man, that anytime you're trying to get sympathy, anytime you're trying to get empathy, anytime that you are being asked a question, what's wrong? You, my friend, are being a little bitch. And I say this, again, because I love you, and I don't want you to be a little bitch. I don't want you to suffer these effects, because a woman will lose respect for you. She loses attraction for you, not because you have emotions, not because you're vulnerable, but because you act like a little bitch. So you got to recognize that when you're being asked what's wrong, that means that you have come off of the position that you need to be in, right? If you are in that state that you are displaying that something is upsetting you to your woman, you've messed up. You've messed up bad. Okay. So just acknowledge that. And then every time you hear her say what's wrong, realize you fucked up. You failed. Okay. Not a big deal. You can get over that, but have that recognition and say, how did I mess up? How did I get in such a state that I allowed things to affect me? I allowed her to affect me in such a degree that I became a little bitch. I'm not being stoic in this moment. Okay. This is powerful advice. I promise you, this will change your life. It will change your relationship. If you're in some way acting upset, if you go and talk to a girl, right? Let's say you're hitting on a girl and she rejects you and now you're upset about that. You're fazed by that. She's right to reject you because you're a little bitch, right? But if you're not faced with that, it's just fun. Like it doesn't affect you at all. Now she might actually turn around. All right, guys, now listen up. Membership, Bulldog Mindset membership. I got something for you, which is a $7 free trial. Well, it's not free, $7, but click the link down below. If you want more help with your mindset, really overcoming all these things, becoming the strongest version of yourself. I'm rebuilding myself in 2025. I want to help you do the same thing. Click the link down below. I will see you tomorrow.